like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and every other LLM have gotten very good at mimicking human responses and behaviors that it's very easy for us to forget that they don't know much. Not really, they don't have awareness as humans do. Hello, everyone, and welcome to May I AI, a series designed to make AI more accessible, understandable, and a bit less intimidating for everyone. Today, we want to tackle just one question: can machines think? What do you believe? Do you think machines have developed the capabilities to think on their own? Well, let's talk about it. My name is Mustafa Al-Hayani, I am your host, and today we are going all the way back to the 1950s to answer our questions. Alan Matheson Turing, a bright mathematician considered to be the father of modern computer science. He asked this question over 70 years ago in his paper titled Computer Machinery and Intelligence. Turing wasn't living in the world we live in today. There wasn't any chatbots or speakers or any of the fancy tech that we have today. You see, back then, computers were giant monstrosities. They filled rooms, they had vacuum tubes inside. And yet, Turing thought about what would come next. He imagined the possibilities of technology. In his paper, he tried to tackle the same question that we're tackling today: can machines think? Yet, Turing figured out a problem with this question. It's very hard to define, fairly impossible even to define what thinking means. So instead, he proposed a game, a different ways of deciding that question. His game was called the Imitation Game. If you've seen the movie, you may have an idea of what it is already. Today, we call this game the Turing test. The Turing test is a way to decide if a machine can be considered or acted upon like it's thinking. The premise is simple. If a machine can carry a conversation well enough without the person they're talking to knowing if it was a machine, the machine has successfully won the imitation game. The game is as follows. There is an examiner and a subject. The examiner asks as many questions to the subject, after which they decide if the subject is a human or a machine. And if more times than not the machine has managed to convince the examiner that it's a human, the machine has won the imitation game. Then we can act as if this machine can think. As you can see, this has nothing to do with consciousness or emotions. It just had enough to do with language and behavioral thinking to imitate how humans sounds like. The question was, can machines imitate us well enough to fool us? And this is a question that we struggle with until today. If we fast forward to today, we have machines that can generate a lot of text, write poetry, act like Shakespeare or Shrek for that matter. And for a lot of people, especially those dealing with these tools for the very first time, this can be very daunting and quite scary. But it can also feel like these machines are understanding them, like they get us, right? Tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and every other LLM have gotten very good at mimicking human responses and behaviors that it's very easy for us to forget that they don't know much. Not really, they don't have awareness as humans do. We've talked about these in previous episodes, how LLMs are rather predictive models, only working on generating the next token in a sentence over and over and over again. It's like, imagine texting with the world's most complex and advanced autocomplete. This is basically what it is. It's just autocomplete on steroids. And yet, these machines are successfully beating the Turing test. These machines are making a lot of people wonder if they're texting real people or not. So does that mean that they're thinking, or does that mean that they're just really, really good at pretending? Well, let's take a look at what recent research says about the matter and see what they think. Recent works, like the ones published in IEEE in 2025's The Turing Test at 75, Legacy and Future Prospects, argue that while the Turing test remains a landmark, a historical landmark in AI, its relevance has diminished in today's world. Today's AI systems excel in narrow domains, outperforming humans in image recognition, object detection, protein folding, and yet they fail to generalize or understand text the way that humans do. These systems pass the Turing test not by demonstrating human thinking capabilities, but by leveraging pattern matching on a very large scale. There are so many papers about that topic. Let's take this PhD thesis published in 2020 titled Structure and Interpretation of Alan Turing's Imitation Game. This dissertation offers a historical and philosophical analysis of Alan Turing's original question. It argues that Turing's question was not just technical, but rather extremely philosophical. It discusses the existential hypothesis that exists or there will exist in the future a thinking machines, and it discusses the hypothetical societal implications of that machine. The truth is, most advanced AI systems today are not built to imitate humans. They drive cars, they compose music or generate new images, they optimize global logistics. In today's world, AI is judged by its ability to extend and augment the human abilities and not to replicate them. However, in recent years, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and LLMs in general have become somewhat the face of AI for the general public. Their uncanny ability to generate coherent, articulate, and very insightful answers and responses have given the impression that these are the cutting edge in AI technology. However, while LLMs are generally used by the public and are everywhere, and they are impressive and quite complex, they are not the most complex of AI systems. Their fame is in part due to the fact of their accessibility. Think of self driving cars or protein folding algorithms. While advanced and complex as they are not as wildly recognized by the public due to it not being accessible. Not everyone anywhere can just access them on their phone, while GPT and almost every LLM is on everyone's hands today. This creates the illusion that these models are more than what they are. At the end of the day, they are still just predictive models made to understand the probability of everything. But LLMs, just like every other model, are predictive engines that are just trained on vast majority of data sets, just predicting the next probable output in a distribution. And these are what every machine learning model we know today, in principle, is. So even though these LLMs can create responses that are very imaginative and can seem very intelligent and real, they are not. At the end of the day, they are just repeating patterns. Think of it as an actor reciting words in a different language than they do not know. Now, as an actor, they have to act with a lot of feeling. They have to act as if they understand everything, but without the real understanding of being the person in the shoes of the person saying these words. It's just that. It's word on a paper that they do not fully understand, but they can act it. And this is basically what LLMs are. For example, if you ask an LLM what it feels like to be human, they will give you a very intelligent and a very understandable answer. It can even be relatable to you. But is that because an LLM have the idea of what it feels like to be human? Or is it just copying other people, maybe on like subreddits, explaining their own situations? So after listening to all of this, what do you think? Do you think the imitation game still constitutes what it means for a machine to think? Or does the recent publications have an idea that is just more correct? Do you actually believe machines have gained the ability to think on their own and gather their own thoughts? Well, that will be up to you to decide because this will be all for today's episode. So, thanks for joining. I hope this gave you food for thought and maybe a different way of thinking of these tools and new ideas. In the next episode, we tackle AI's ability to learn on its own. Basically, how much control do AI have over their own systems? If this is interesting to you, subscribe and maybe send this to someone who might also be interested and tell them to join us for the next episode. Until then, stay curious, stay open minded, and I'll catch you then.